does that even mean, Bauer's Game Corner?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Blood and Fortune from Exist Games. This is for 3 to 6 players, ages, I'd say about 10 plus. It'll take about 10 to 30 minutes to play, and Blood and Fortune is a lightweight filler game in which you are going to be, I don't know, you're trying to take the role of the king by gaining influence from other people so you can get the most victory points at the end of the game. It's got asymmetrical powers. It's got some Citadels-esque aspects where you're going to have different roles that will come into play at the end of rounds, and you're trying to gain the most points. So let's open it up, check it out, I'll tell you what I think about it. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Blood and Fortune. First and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule booklet. It's about 7 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and the last half is all just in Chinese or Korean or Japanese, I'm not quite sure which one. And it's a pretty well done rule booklet. It's not as clear as I would like it to be, and it's going to be one of those ones you'd be like, wait, I think we're doing it right, and then once you really read it clearly, you'll be able to figure it out. But it's not the worst rule booklet in the world. So in Blood and Fortune, what you're going to be trying to do is there's a very loose plot where you're going to be trying to gain the most influence by giving away your influence and gaining other people's influence and doing all sorts of various different stuff like that. It also has a unique aspect where there are going to be different role cards that will be coming up at the end of rounds and shaking things up. So you have to be prepared for what those different role cards are going to be like. Think of like in Game of Thrones where, you know, wild card stuff will happen. All of a sudden dragons attack or White Walkers come or just various other different things like that. So we'll go over the components, and then we'll get a little bit into the gameplay. So component-wise, you're going to pick your house, which will come with various different colors and cards, and you're going to get these 5 cards right here. You're going to get 3 cards that have 1 influence on them, and 2 cards that have 2 influence on them, and you're going to be trying to exert your influence on your opponents, and that will gain you points. You're going to keep track of your points on this little scorecard right here, which will keep track of how many points you're on. Also, each house is going to have their own unique special ability that they'll be able to do once per round. And there are quite a few of these that you can play with. So each, in theory, each game you should be able to get something different for, I think, up to like 8 or 9 games. So that's pretty nice too. So that's what you're going to get when you start the game. Now, next, they're going to be these cards right here, which, as I mentioned, are going to be special role cards. And you're going to have these, and at the end of the round, they are going to trigger whether you want them to or not. And how it'll work is, think of it like Citadels or something like that, where you'll say 1, 2, 3, and this will say, all right, I have 3, and they'll read out what the card does. You'll do immediately whatever the action is, then you'll go 4, 5, it'll be like, all right, I have 4, and this is what's going to happen. So you're going to do that, then you're going to reveal all your influence that you've been giving to other people and other people have been giving to you. You're going to tally up the amount of points you gained in that round, and then you're going to rinse, wash, and repeat over 3 rounds. So you're also going to get this handy dandy little cheat card, which will show you exactly what all the different influence and role card, or the different role cards are, so you can be prepared for potentially what might be coming up. So when you first start the game, everybody is going to get 2 influence cards, or 2 role cards, excuse me, like this. Also, someone is going to get the ring card. This just means you are the first player. In future rounds, whoever has the most points at the end of a round is going to be the first player. You're going to look at the 2 role cards. You're going to pick the one that you want to keep in the game, and then the second one is going to go to the bottom of the deck like that. Next, you're going to put them out in the center, and you're going to go in turn, and you're going to take one of the cards from someone else. So you are just picking one card that you want to stay in play. You don't actually get to keep the card. Someone else is going to take this card from you. Next, you're going to take your 5 influence cards that you have right here, and the game will start up. And really what you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing 3 times is offering influence to other people. You're going to take turns offering influence to other people, keeping in mind whatever your role card may be, because this can impact how the end game scoring is going to work. Excuse me, the end round scoring is going to work. So how this works is you're going to offer 2 cards to one person, and you're going to do that face down. So you might offer them a 1 or a 2, or a 1 and a 1, or a 2 and a 2. So you offer them over there, and they are required to take one of these cards. Now you also can offer your influence card as well, your role card as well, I should say. So this is something that they can potentially do. Now, I'll go over both scenarios. So if you just hand them two of these cards right here, they have to pick one, and they put it face down in front of themselves like this, and it stays in that exact position. Each further card that they get is going to go to the right of that to symbolize that this card came first, and then this card, and then say this card right here, because it will matter in the end game scoring what order these cards are. So if they do that, then they take one of your cards, they have to take one of your cards, and then they give you your other card back, and your turn is over. Now, if you decide to offer them one of your roll cards, on the other hand, you can say, all right, I'm going to give you these two cards. They get to pick which one they want to do. If they take this one, no big thing, just do the exact same thing. However, if they take the roll card, then they're required to give you one influence card back that you'll put down. So it is kind of a little tit for tat when you want to offer these. And sometimes you don't have a choice but to offer these, because you always have to offer two cards to someone unless you don't have two cards, in which case you only offer one card and the other player has to take that one card, which can sometimes be really good and sometimes be really bad. Anywho, you're going to do that 3 times until the end of until the last turn. Next, what you're going to do is you are going to resolve rolls. So that was, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to read off 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will resolve the rolls. Some of them will make you do another turn. Some of them will offer any one card from your hand to another player, discard any one card from anyone's hand or play area, draw a new roll card, do all sorts of different things. And then you're going to reveal your influence. So you would flip over your influence like so. So let's just say we got this in front of us. This is the influence. Oh, that's a round card. Let's say we got this going on in front of us, and all of this, of course, would be face down. So how this works is everyone's going to reveal at the same time. I almost forgot to mention, you also are going to be able to do once per round your special ability. Offer only one card instead of 2 during your turn. So you get to do that once per round, and I highly recommend doing that once per round because you get to do that every single round, no penalty whatsoever, so you always pretty much want to use it. So next, everyone is going to reveal their cards like so. How this works is only the last 2 card that you collected is going to gain influence points. So this influence card right here is worth nothing. It's worth 0. So that is very unfortunate to that player. It's only the influence card furthest to the right that is going to score you points. So for instance, right now we would be scoring 4 points for this influence right here. Red would be scoring 3 points for this influence right here, and green would be scoring 1 point from this influence right here. Now you're also going to get points based on who has your influence cards. So if you're able to hand out a bunch of your influence cards and have your 2s on the right, then you're going to be gaining a good deal of points. Anywho, you're going to tally up the points, then you're going to rinse, wash, and repeat, doing the exact same thing. You go for 3 rounds, and then you are going to tally up the points. Whoever has the most points will be the winner of a game. And that, in a nutshell, is how Blood and Fortune is played. Alrighty then, Blood and Fortune from Exist Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. It is a lightweight filler game. It says 10 to 30 minutes, and once you know what you're doing, you can really fly through this game. Which is a good thing, but not for everybody. Also, the rules could be better. They were translated. It says in the box there was a translation, and I feel like it's just a little more complex than I would like it to be to learn the game, because the gameplay itself is actually really simple, but the rules don't necessarily explain it as well as they could. So when you're first learning the game, you're going to be like, I think this is how it goes. I'm not quite sure what we're doing. But about halfway to 3/4 of the way through, most of the time, it is going to click. And be like, oh, I see. So there's some nuance. There's some strategy. When do I offer this influence card? Do I want to offer roll cards? You know, which roll cards do I want to put in play? So that is something to note that I did want to mention. Also, it's repetitive. You're going to be doing the same thing over and over and over again. You're just going to be doing the same actions, and then you're going to be doing that 3 times in a different round, then you're scoring the points, and hooray, the game is over. So if you don't like repetitive games, it might not be for you. Last con I have is the artwork is very bland and generic, and no one's going to be wowed by it. The name is, but the main thing is the box. The box is just insanely large. Why do you need a box this large? This is insane. You're not even using half of your space there. So it's always frustrating when game companies do that, but it's more of a nitpick than anything. But moving on to the pros, Blood and Fortune is a really interesting game. Is it a good game? Yeah, I think it's a good game. I think if you play a lot of lightweight filler games, this is definitely one you might want to add to your collection, add to your repertoire if you routinely get these kind of games to the table. There's a couple different reasons why. It's very asymmetrical. Every game you play is going to be a little bit different. I said it's repetitive, and that's action-wise, but what role cards come into play is going to be different every time, which special ability you have, which special ability other people's have, and I like that aspect of the game. One more thing I forgot to mention on the con side, though, before we move on to the pros, is that I liked it at the higher player counts best. I did not like it at 3 players. 4 players is okay, but I felt like 5 and 6 was really the sweet spot there. Another pro is it goes up to 6 players. Always hard to find good games that are at 6 players, so that's a good thing. Gameplay-wise, it's a very solid game, and it's easy to teach. It's not the easiest to learn, but once you know how to play, it's a really easy game to teach. I like how the influence works, where you're going to be passing it back and forth, and sometimes you're going to get stuck with cards you don't want, and sometimes people are going to be stuck giving away cards they don't want to give away at various different times, and I like that aspect. I feel like the role cards really spice up the game, and overall, Blood and Fortune is a very intriguing, interesting, and I'd say good game if you're in the market for a lightweight filler game. If you're not in the market, though, you're probably going to steer clear. I don't think this is going to be wowing everybody, but I think it's a very solid addition to someone's collection if you play those sorts of games. So that is Blood and Fortune. Could use some rules. You could use some rules work, but still, I think a good game. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know, Blood, Fortune, which would you rather have an unlimited supply of? Fortune, I guess. I don't. I guess having unlimited blood would be good if you ever had any giant internal issue. You know what? How important is blood to surviving? That's the real question here. I think a doctor might have a different answer. Well, a doctor's already got a nice fortune. But I think part of the reason why a lot of people die from internal bleeding is because they don't have enough blood. But if you had enough blood, you had an unlimited supply of blood, would that make you invulnerable from internal bleeding? I don't know. It's an interesting question. Not to mention, you could donate an unlimited amount of blood, which could potentially gain you a fortune if you have the right blood type. If you had an unlimited amount of blood, you could just say, hey, here, blood blank, you need the AB that everybody can use. Just slit me open, just suck it all out, just do it all day, and then give me $1,000 a day, and we're good to go. What am I talking? You know what? I think I might take unlimited blood. I think I have talked myself into getting unlimited blood. No, I want unlimited fortune. What the hell am I talking about? I take the fortune. But would you take the blood? Did I convince you with my blood argument? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.